to transport 36% fewer students, okay? It took the transportation department 13 months to even attempt to use transportation hubs, a solution we proposed back in October of 23, and it's something that CPS has done in the past. They've used hubs in the past. And still, only 2 of the 542 families that are in our online advocacy group have reported that they've been routed to one of these hubs. Only 2 out of the 542, and that 542 is only a fraction of the 5,500 who lost busing last year, 85% of whom are students from low-income families. So something needs to change, and we're here today to try to work that out with the board. Again, we'd like to see an audit of transportation to figure out where this money is going. Why are they spending more to bus so many fewer students? Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are now going to hear from Dr. Angel Alvarez, who is an expert in this field, as well as a member of CPS Parents for Buses. Doctor?
Thank you so much. I'm Dr. Angel Alvarez. Angel, like, from above. Alvarez is A-L-V-A-R-E-Z. I'm a scientist by trade, but an activist at heart. Over the past several years, I've pointed out with the board multiple disparities regarding educational opportunities in our school, significant concerns over the sustainability and funding of our schools, and busing is just a microcosm of the many problems that plague CPS. I previously told the previous board multiple times about the unsustainability of the budget and about accounting irregularities that fail to account for significant overruns of the budget by about $20 million last year. This is a persistent problem. I really am concerned because the new board doesn't have enough information to understand the current budget situation. And without understanding the current budget situation, they are unable to provide the best resources and to know how to allocate resources for our students. Thank you. I unfortunately cannot. I don't want to butcher it.
All right. Well, I will. Oh, I'm sorry. What? Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. So I'm going to say very quickly in Spanish. Soy Carlos Ramírez Rosa, soy el concejal Distrito 35 y aquí estamos hoy día enfrente de las oficinas de CPS para demandar que Pedro Martínez y que la mesa ejecutiva de las escuelas públicas toman acción para asegurar que nuestros estudiantes tienen acceso a autobuses. Más de 5,000 estudiantes en este momento no tienen acceso a autobuses y la gran mayoría de ellos estudiantes son estudiantes de familias trabajadoras, de familias obreras. Es un gasto muchísimo para ellos poder ir a la escuela y no tener acceso a las escuelas donde van. Entonces queremos asegurar que ahora que hay una nueva mesa ejecutiva, una nueva junta, que ellos van a tomar acción. Pedro Martínez no ha hecho lo que él debe de hacer para asegurar que nuestros estudiantes tienen acceso a autobuses y eso tiene que cambiar. Entonces tenemos aquí padres que se van a reunir con miembros de la nueva junta de las escuelas públicas para asegurar que esos miembros tienen la información necesaria para poder tomar acción para asegurar que nuestros jóvenes tienen acceso a los autobuses. So I want to recognize a number of elected officials that are here with us today. We have 8th District Cook County Commissioner Anthony Quesada. We have First Ward Alderman Daniel Espada, and we also have 25th Ward Alderman Byron Siccho Lopez, and we have State Senator-elect Graciela Guzman. So these. And, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, look at that glare. And we have 33rd Ward Alderwoman Rosana Rodriguez. We're leaving the best for last. So I want to ask the elected officials here, would any of them like to say any words? They've been allied with CPS Parents for Buses and are here joining us to show their support. Maybe Graciela, do you want to say something? Okay, she's a little under the weather. All right, Alderman Laspada.
So my name is Daniel Espada, D-A-N-I-E-L, last name L-A, space S-P-A-T-A, representing the First Ward. I'm just really glad to be here with you all because it's an issue that's been in traction for a long time. When I go to Sabin, when I go to LaSalle, to Pritzker, and hear about the waits for kids who are ever even able to get on buses, the idea that you're on the bus in the morning for 60 minutes, 90 minutes, having to wake up at 5:30 in the morning sometimes to get on the bus, that's no life for a 5-year-old. That's not what we want for our 7-year-olds. We can do and have to do so much better. and I hear about progress and intentions and plans, and that feels good. And there's going to be no satisfaction for me or our schools until that results in kids having the level of safe, consistent bus service that they all deserve. So I'm really glad for the action that we're pushing here today. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. So we have a meeting with members of the Chicago Board of Education at 11:30 a.m. But prior to that meeting, we wanted to make our message heard. In January of this year, I sent a letter to CEO Pedro Martinez about this issue. I received no response. In March of this year, CPS Parents for Buses sent a letter to the Board of Ed, the then Board of Ed, and received no response. We have testified at the CPS board meetings, we have sent emails, we have had press conference, and yet CPS has continued to fail to take action on this issue. So we're hopeful with a new Chicago Board of Education, the new appointees, including the members that were just elected, that they can take appropriate action. Because CPS CEO Pedro Martinez and his underlings thus far have ignored us and have failed to address this issue, which is impacting students, thousands of students in the system, the vast majority of them low income. So with that, we'll open it up to questions.
So what are the students doing now? Are they taking public transportation now? Could you explain that again, Alderman?
Yes. Do you want to talk about what some of the families are doing right now in lieu of buses?
Yeah, I can do that. So CPS offered a free CTA pass and a parent companion pass to students, to try to solve this issue last year. The problem is you have to have a parent who basically is able to afford to quit their job, right? If you're a single parent, you can't go and get up, take your kid to school, come back. You don't have time to work. By that time, you need to get back to pick your kid up. It takes probably I know for me, I'm in the car 3 hours a day. If I was taking public transportation, I'd be on it 6 hours a day, right? Just with everything that it takes. So basically, the CTA passes are not an option. So some people are doing that, some people are driving. But basically what happens is the families with the means to do it are making it work. It's the 85% of students who are low income who are suffering, right? Those are the families who had to have them drop out of schools that they love because they can't get them there. Or there's other parents who are working overnight shifts and then getting home just in time to take their kid to school, go home, sleep for a couple hours, get back up, pick their kid up, go back and work all night over again. So that's what's happening right now. It's basically CPS families are falling apart trying to make this work. That's what's happening. Yeah. No, not actually using them. Actually, we're offered them. So basically, this hubs model, we have 542 people in our online Facebook group that represent the 5,500. According to our survey, only 2 of them have actually been routed to hubs. So basically, the idea was that they told us in July we're going to implement these hubs in quarter one. Quarter one came and went. We emailed and said, hey, what's going on? Nothing back, right? We said, what are the details? Our group asked, we prioritize students with IEPs first, right? And students in temporary living situations. But after that, we have these buses, empty buses going all over the city. You can look it up. TalkBee published an article on it. There are hundreds of buses with 10 or fewer students on them. And all we were saying is to let our kids get on the bus. We asked for this last year and they said no, all last year. In July, they finally said, okay, yeah, we'll give it a shot, acting like it's something new. The hubs are not new. We've always had students getting picked up at local schools, not at their door, right? So they said, we'll try it. Quarter one came and went. They didn't do it. And then now in the end of quarter two, they're saying that they're going to start to implement it. But like I said, I've only heard of 2 families. This is taking way too long. We proposed this a year and a half ago. Why did it take 13 months to even try it?
So other than the specifics of the finances and understanding the budget from your perspective where more money is being spent on fewer children being able to ride buses, what action specifically would you like to suggest for the board to take?
I mean, like I said before, I would love to see an external audit or the board to call for, I'm so sorry, the board to call for some sort of audit to be able to see, where is this money going? I mean, we could look at vendors and the way that they hire their vendors. They don't route until the last minute. So of course, vendors can charge whatever they want. If you're coming to them in July and saying, I need you in August, they know that they've got all the pricing power, right? So, I mean, that's one thing but honestly, I can't see the inner workings of, I only get what they tell me and they don't want to tell us a whole lot. So that's all, a big question of mine is where's the money going? Yeah, and possibly, Dr. Angel Alvarez could answer that too as well. But
Sure.
Did you want to jump in on that?
In October 2023, I sent recommendations, including signatures from hundreds of parents. Some of the obvious solutions are quickly, right? routing through hubs, prioritize students with disabilities. It's important to emphasize that CPS still fails to properly route students with disabilities who have a legal right to transportation to their school. It's also important to point out that when I looked at the routing information, I was able to reveal that certain companies have preferential routes. They have shorter routes that allow them to be more profitable. CPS could have implemented obvious vendor reforms to expand the pool of transportation companies. They did not. Again, just as Ms. Schubert said, that gives a small number of companies significant pricing power. That's why they keep running over budget. Other options are essentially reducing the demand to go to these selective enrollment magnet schools by allowing students in their local schools to get accelerated. Again, obvious questions: why CPS Transportation Department is choosing to ignore low-cost transportation options, including providing financial compensation of $30 a day to families to transport students with disabilities, and opting to provide more expensive options like using private companies, paying companies to outsource transportation to cab drivers. Again, running up the bill, and again, this significantly underestimates their budget, and our deficits are going to be significantly higher than what they're saying that they are going to be. Thank you.
So, en español? Okay.
The other thing I want to point out is that this disproportionately hurts low-income students of color. If you look at Erickson, they lost 52 students last year. Beasley, 46. Disney and Robert A. Black lost more than 40 students, primarily low-income students of color. These policies are discriminatory, and they fall on the backs of students who are most underserved. Thank you.
I want to go
Quiero ver tu cara.
Okay. Yo no quiero que vean mi cara.
Y si puede decir su nombre y...
Okay, mi nombre es María Luisa Ugarte y soy un papá que perdió bus. ¿Qué más quieren saber? Oh, what else you want to know? I can do it in English, Spanish, but I'd rather do it in Spanish. Okay. Yes. My daughter lost transportation, as everybody else that has transportation. Like she mentioned it, we only have 2 parents that responded to the survey about getting the hub. We got it, and I'm glad we did. But I'm here representing all those parents that didn't get it. She didn't get it. She also has an IEP student. She didn't get it. Can I say that you're a single mom? Okay, she's a single mom, so she needs to drive her kids. Take transportation every day back and forth to be able to get a good education, because CPS has failed us to have good education in our neighborhoods. That's why we go to a magnet school. Now, it's not, they call it a choice, but it's not a choice, it's a necessity, because our schools are unfunded in our neighborhood. So we have to travel to be able to have a good education for our kids. Oh, I live in Humboldt Park. Okay, ¿ahora hablo en español? No, she's in the other way of the city. Voy a decir en español ahora. Soy María Ugarte, soy de la Escuela Interamericana, vivo en Humboldt Park. Nosotros perdimos transportación como todos los otros niños. Mi hija tiene un IEP. CPS dijo que los IEPs no iban a perder transportación. Una vez más, una mentira. Sí lo perdimos. Yo fui una de las seleccionadas para estar en el Hub Program. Recibí un correo y recibí una llamada para confirmarme para el lunes. Estoy representando a los otros padres que no lo han recibido. Y nosotros vamos a una escuela magnet no por, como ellos le dicen, choice. Vamos por necesidad, porque en nuestros barrios no hay escuelas que CPS le esté dando lo suficientes dinero para tener una escuela, educación de calidad. Y por eso estamos aquí luchando para que, como dijo nuestro representante Carlos Rosa, la mayoría de los estudiantes que perdieron transportación son de padres de bajos recursos, son latinos, son gente de color, y lamentablemente una vez más somos los que estamos sufriendo con estos cortes. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, María, M-A-R-I-A, Ugarte, U-G-A-R-T-E.
All right, so we have one more question, and then we will head to our meeting.
Yeah, so we heard Dr. Alvarez mention that this busing issue is just a microcosm of what's going on with the CPS budget. I wanted to just kind of directly ask, is this an effort to shed light on what is clearly an ongoing issue in order to gain support for the removal among the board
So it's up to the board to decide how they want to proceed with the CPS CEO. But I think that the buck stops with the CEO. He wears the title, he wears the jacket. It's his responsibility to address the issues within the system. The board, they are part-time. They are retirees, they have full-time jobs, but it's the CPS CEO who his full-time job is to provide leadership for this district. And on this issue, he has failed to provide leadership. We've written him letters, we've testified at board meetings, he has ignored us. And this issue continues to be unresolved. To send out a press release saying, oh, we're starting a hub system that was supposed to start at the beginning of the school year, to say you're starting it now in the middle of winter, and only 2 of the 500 parents surveyed are actually going to be able to access that solution, means that it's not a solution. This issue has gone unresolved, and it needs to be solved. And so we're here today to meet with CPS board members, to provide them with the perspective of parents, to provide them with the research and the work that these parents have been doing to address this issue. Ultimately, it will be up to the board to decide how to proceed with that information. Finalmente, este problema de transportación necesita una solución. Necesitamos que Pedro Martínez nos trae esa solución. Hasta este momento no nos ha traído una solución. Hemos estado escribiendo cartas, hemos estado en las reuniones de la Junta y no nos han hecho caso. Entonces ya es tiempo que eso cambie y ojalá con esta información dándoselo a los miembros de la Junta, finalmente vamos a tener una solución. Gracias, thank you.